This trade looked perfect and I still almost messed it up. What's good, traders? Today I want to break down one of my trades step by step. Not just the entry, but the bias, the patience, the execution, and the psychology behind it. Because this is where most traders go wrong. First, let's set the context. In this case, I wanted to trade New York Open session today. On the higher time frame, my initial bias was bearish. So if we look at this bearish candle that we formed on the day before, on Tuesday, we decided that because of this really strong bearish close, we wanted this sell side target right here to be taken during this day. Now, here's why this is important. Because a lot of traders go wrong by marrying their initial bias. We did the exact opposite. Instead of marrying the bias, we looked for certain criteria to be hit so that we could take an opposing trade. Because our initial bias was wrong. If we look on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that we had a 4-hour gap here being respected. And as you can see, held it just before the open. Now let's break this down further in the 15-minute time frame. If you look at the 15-minute time frame, we had a sell side sweep here. So this low, this equal low, got swept at 6:45 a.m. And inside of that sweep of that candle, we formed an inversion fair value gap, which formed at 9 a.m. and a change in the state of delivery. Because of those two PD arrays forming, we decided that longs were a potential play here. Now, on top of those two PD arrays forming, we also had a 15-minute bullish gap that formed. This is also important because this is going to play a part into our bias. Now, let's break this down further into the 5-minute and what happened. So, on the open of 9:30, we traded up and we took out this minor buy side liquidity here. And inside of that, we formed a small Judas swing to the downside. So, a lot of people would straight away automatically think because of this, we are going to short down to our target. But here's where they were wrong, right? That Judas is usually a manipulation. So 9:30, we form a Judas swing. A Judas swing is where we have a fake move to the opposing end of the actual move. So bearing that in mind, I thought with 9:30, if we have a Judas to the downside and we held inside of this 15-minute gap that we formed, we could look for potential longs. And this is where the patience comes into play. We had this buy side liquidity, which I targeted, and the new week opening gap right above here. So those two levels were potential draws for today. Using that information, we could then look for a trade. Instead of just trading right off this 15-minute gap, I wanted further confirmation that we were going to go towards the buy side. So I waited for the candles to print, and on this 5-minute chart, we can see we formed this nice 5-minute gap. Now this is where we were looking to take our trade. So having that 5-minute gap form and us bounce off of that gap, we then scaled down to the 1-minute time frame because this is where we want to look for our execution. We can see on the 1 minute, we had a strong close above the midpoint of that 5-minute gap. And what we wanted to do was wait for a change in the state of delivery. So I waited for this candle here. And once we closed above this candle and tapped back into it, this was our final entry. So we took our trade here, placed our stop loss below the 5-minute gap, and we targeted the rejection block. So the reason why I targeted the rejection block is because this was already an 82-point trade. So 82 points on one contract would be roughly $1,800. Knowing that and having that buy side target, we do not need to go and take all of that range and all of that liquidity, which bagged over 114 points. This wasn't necessary here, right? So all we needed was a small part of the trade. And even 82 points isn't a small amount by any means, because that's $1,800 bagged for us. So we took our entry, and this is where traders would also go wrong again. What would have happened here? Most traders would probably break even after this small high gets closed above, right? You see this high here? A lot of traders in this case would break even here, and then boom, you would get stopped out. But what we did correct was we kept our initial stop loss, we trailed it to this wick, and that took off a little bit of risk whilst also giving us the full maximum profit that we target. And the reason why I targeted the rejection block was because yesterday's price action was very poor. I was expecting maybe choppiness going into the second half of the open, and I expected that we could potentially reverse at any point. So instead of just maximizing our gains and going for the buy side liquidity, we targeted the rejection block, which is also a valid entry point. So that was our trade. Here's the total profit for the day. I took another smaller trade. You can see 2081, and you can see the account funded, Lucid funded flex, and you can see my total profit. So this is a fresh account. We made $2 grand off of this account, and it was an overall really nice day. We had a strong push up for the majority of the New York Open, and our ultimate targets of the new week opening gap ended up getting hit. So this was an amazing day. Honestly, a massive difference compared to yesterday. So we capitalized a really nice chunk on our fresh account. If you guys want more content like this, don't forget to subscribe, press the bell notification, and drop a comment if you took a trade today.